Welcome to the CLS Experience. I'm your host, Craig Siegel. I'm a born and raised New Yorker who achieved success with multiple businesses, but I crave something deeper. So I dedicated myself to personal growth and transformation by revamping my mindset. I went from being unable to run a mile to conquering 4 marathons the following year. Now, I want to help others manufacture big breakthroughs of their own.
For me, some of my earliest coping strategies were food. For me, food helped me feel safe. Watching TV, cartoons, movies helped me feel safe because it helped me escape. And it helped me fantasize and think about and feel into a world that wasn't as scary as what mine was. As an adult, I found I still stayed with food. I probably still stayed with TV a little bit, but I used exercise and performance and status seeking and adrenaline and sex as means to counteract these big feelings and these big pain points that I was experiencing, the fears that I had. I wanted to numb away from that. I wanted to avoid all that. I didn't know how to deal with it. I wasn't willing to deal with it, and I didn't really know it existed. I just thought this is what everyone experiences. We all have relationship trouble. We all have issues of being angry and impatient and agitated and abrasive and aggressive. I just thought that was quote unquote normal. But none of that really is normal, right? Or it may be common, but it's not healthy.
On today's episode of the CLS Experience, we have a very romantic treat. He's a dynamic relationship expert and stud whose work has touched countless lives across the globe, including elite special forces soldiers, Olympic gold medalists, high-performing CEOs, and everyday couples and individuals trying to navigate their mental health. His relationship advice and expertise is second to none, and he makes complex concepts sound extremely digestible. He helps facilitate your best and enlightened self and strengthens your conscious relationships with authentic love, guiding you to improve your relationships by working through your traumas. No big deal. He's perfected the ability to thrive in relationships with clarity, stability, and certainty, and his emotional intelligence is off the charts. He's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific husband and father. Please welcome the wise, charismatic, intelligent, and handsome, abundant, and compassionate Stefanos Sifandos. How you doing, Steph?
That is definitely, Craig, that is definitely the best fucking introduction anyone has ever given me, man. I'm blush. You got me blushing now, brother. Fuck.
I'm so excited I did good by you. I take great pride in them. But as I always like to say, brother, it's your story. You wrote it. I just said it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm a fan of yours. For the audience right now, we're about 4 million. In case you're not familiar, my biggest suggestion is do a deep dive. Check out all of Steph's content, all the great stuff he has going on. Play catch up. What I think is most valuable today is we just have an unbelievable conversation. Before we dive in, we're going to get a little weird. You ready for me, Steph?
Born ready, man. Tell me.
What is your superpower?
I have a pretty insane capacity to hold intensity that's outside of me. So what I mean by that is I could be in a room full of people, whether it's leading a room full of people, and really allowing them to go through processes and supporting them in going through processes of releasing deep trauma and unresolved issues, and then being able to navigate and hold that trauma and facilitate all of that. Whether it's a few people, hundreds of people, thousands of people, it's a skill that I've developed over time, largely by actually working with my own stuff and being able to hold my stuff and going and traversing the depths of my own shadows and my own pain and the way that I've seen myself in the world, and actually coming into deeper communion with those parts of me so that I can be more available to others when they're moving through their processes. It's like this recognition of, oh, you've been somewhere really dark and really dense. That gives me permission to go there, but I also know that you can hold me, because if you can hold yours, then you can hold me,
Bang. That's where we dropped the mic, but we're just getting warmed up. And to be honest with you, that was a fun question. And that was such a deep answer. And no surprise there, one of the many things I love about you. And you make the stuff so digestible, and I appreciate that. And it's interesting. Let's just stay there for a second. So you mentioned the word available, which I love. It's interesting because I used to be a little bit more machine-like, and I would just make a choice what I'm available for and what I'm not. And if there was a negative thought or whatever the case may be, I would just say I'm not available for it. But the truth is it never really goes away, right? Right. At some point, we have to deal with some of that trauma from the past and heal it so that we can really move forward. Would you agree with that?
I would, and it's our, it's more that our relationship to trauma or to our past or to the things that have ailed us changes, as opposed to that thing leaving us completely. Because that thing, that experience, that intensity that we experienced, that we move through in our world, it doesn't necessarily go away, but layers of it are exposed. And as we purposely, deliberately explore the layers of self, we begin to heal those parts of us that have, kept us down, have limited our beliefs, have limited our action, have held us back in taking healthy risk, have not allowed us to be honest in relationship or be vulnerable or be real or all the things that really matter, have not allowed us to actually be seen and to see others because we're so scared of intimacy. When we start to deal with those layers, what happens is new versions of ourselves emerge into the world with greater courage and greater confidence, greater self-worth. And then obviously as we expose ourselves to new environments and take bigger risks, sometimes what gets aggravated are those aspects of the past, but in a new way. It's not that we haven't dealt with it, it's just a new layer of it emerging. So if we can accept that and know that's part of our journey, we meet that with greater equanimity, so calm in the face of chaos, and then we start to grow in more tactful ways, as opposed to just being so disappointed that, oh, I'm facing this issue again. I haven't healed my trauma. There's something wrong with me. Fuck, what's wrong with my life? If we go down that path, we're not actually dealing with anything. We're in greater avoidance, which perpetuates the same problem.
So good. And where do we begin, right? Calm in the face of chaos. Is that what you said?
Yeah, equanimity. Yeah.
That's beautiful, brother. And this is so good. And one of the reasons why I was so excited to speak about this stuff with you today is because this particular conversation is applicable and relatable to everyone, right? And I guess the question is right now for some people that are listening to you and they're thinking like, how do you know if you have unresolved trauma?
Yeah. So if you're looking at your life and you're dissatisfied with aspects of your life, and you have to realize that we need to realize that we are the common denominators in our lives. And so if we're having unpleasant, or undesirable experiences that we don't resonate with, but we keep having them, there's something underneath our conscious awareness of self that resides in the unconscious mind and in the body that could be trapped trauma looping. And the reason we keep experiencing the same thing or similar things over and over again is to have a redo, is to meet that thing that reminds us of the core trauma, right, in a different way. Because maybe when you were younger, when you were 5 years old, you got abused and you got physically beaten by one of your parents, right? And in your environment growing up, abuse and yelling and shouting was very familiar to you. And so as an adult, we often attract what's familiar. But sometimes we actually attract the opposite in extremes, and we'll get to that later, but we attract what's often familiar. And so you may find yourself in relationships that are abusive, where you don't hear each other, where you're constantly arguing, where there's distance created. You're emulating your childhood. You're not emulating your childhood to punish you. You're emulating your childhood so that you as an adult can take your power back and say, no, I'm not going to be involved in this situation anymore, or to be with it in more compassionate ways so you can change the way that you were. Because usually as a kid, if you're experiencing big trauma, violence, abuse, yelling, screaming, volatility, intensity, we shut down. Our sympathetic nervous system is activated. We get scared. We move into fight or flight. There are things that we want to do. We want to scream. We want to run, but we can't because we're paralyzed. Maybe we're stuck in freeze. We have these opportunities as adults to have a redo, to maybe walk away from that relationship and say, no, this doesn't serve me anymore. I'm going to make a self-honoring choice. I'm not going to argue in this way anymore. I'm going to be different. And when we have that redo and we execute it in a new way, our lives change. We no longer need to attract those similar situations because we've grown from it. We've grown out of it. We've outgrown our trauma. We've outgrown our past. That's the power. That's us getting our power back, taking our power back because we lost it, we gave it away, or it was pulled or taken from us.
This is unbelievable. And for the audience, like, this is gripping stuff. Grab a journal, run that back and take some notes. I know I will as well. And you said there, like, we tend to gravitate what's familiar to us. But then you also mentioned, in addition, sometimes we gravitate more extremely to the opposite. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so in the same example that I just used, and I think the example that I use is one that I would say many of us can relate to, like growing up in an uncertain, volatile, maybe violent, or just even, emotionally abusive household or shut down household. But let's just say when you're violent, you are shut down. You're shutting down the parts of you that love and care, right? But let's just say that sort of volatile situation, which was very, very much like what mine was. We may then as adults attract the exact opposite. We may attract, or even ourselves, be super passive, super meek, would be weak. We're not going to be a stand for our truth. We're going to be people pleasers. We're going to attract partners that are super quiet, but also super disconnected from their bodies, disconnected from their expression. We'd rather have no drama than any drama, because any drama reminds us of big drama. So now we're attracting the opposite. Extremes aren't healthy, full stop. The extreme violence isn't healthy. And the extreme passivity isn't healthy. So we may do that as a pattern to repel what we once experienced because it's so overwhelming to our nervous systems. They're two general examples of extremes that most of us will follow.
Yeah, this is good stuff. And like, I imagine this is triggering to people that maybe haven't done this type of work, but as you're speaking, they're starting to feel some things and you're helping identify what those things might be, right?
Yeah, it's a good point that you raise, Craig. And so what I want to say to that is that, as someone that works with people on a regular basis, I feel your trigger, I feel your activation, I feel the resistance to look at this. I've been there myself. It's our ego's way of saying, I don't want to go to the places that are unfamiliar. Yes, I want to heal. I want to feel whole and feel safe, but I don't want to move into uncertainty. What I know has kept me alive so far. It's worked. Let's just stay here. But we all know that that's not what is going to be the best path for us. It's not the healthiest path. So if you're feeling resistance, my invitation to you is to go into your curiosity, into your resistance, and ask questions about it. Sit with it for a little bit. Just sit with the discomfort just a little bit. When it gets too much, pull yourself out, deliberately distract in healthy ways. Don't go to drugs, don't go to alcohol, don't go to porn, don't go to food as an emotional coping strategy. Go for a walk, have a glass of water. You start writing, journaling, do something that's productive and healthy for you. Come back to the discomfort when you're able to, but small steps towards the unknown aspects of ourselves help us feel and make the parts of us that have been lost more whole. We find those parts, we make the unknown known within us, and we start to feel more empowered.
Yeah, this is great stuff, brother. And also, like, you speak from contrast, right? Like, you've been through some stuff where maybe the things that you just mentioned, you might have catered to back in the day, but those were unhealthy choices. And now go for a walk, drink a glass of water. There are a substitute once you feel that, and then come back.
Correct, yeah. And so for me, some of my earliest coping strategies were food. For me, food helped me feel safe. Watching TV, cartoons, movies helped me feel safe because it helped me escape. And it helped me fantasize and think about and feel into a world that wasn't as scary as what mine was. As an adult, I found I still stayed with food. I probably still stayed with TV a little bit, but I used exercise and performance and status seeking and adrenaline and sex as means to counteract these big feelings and these big pain points that I was experiencing, the fears that I had. I wanted to numb away from that. I wanted to avoid all that. I didn't know how to deal with it. I wasn't willing to deal with it, and I didn't really know it existed. I just thought this is what everyone experiences. We all have relationship troubles. We all have issues of being angry and impatient and agitated and abrasive and aggressive. Like I just thought that was quote unquote normal. But none of that really is normal, right? Or it may be common, but it's not healthy.
VMI Sports is the premier and fastest growing brand in sports nutrition, bar none. Their products help me clang and bang in the gym and facilitate consistently faster PRs, marathon after marathon, no big deal. A few products that I personally want to brag about are as follows. The KXR pre-workout, full dose of beta-alanine for strength and endurance, and has ingredients for cognition and focus, having me sharp as a tack. I also want to mention their Proto-Lite protein, consisting of 100% whey isolate, which is easily digestible and facilitates hydration, and my personal favorite, has the best flavors in the market, such as vanilla cake batter and cinnamon crunch. If you want to combine feeling and looking like $1 billion in all facets of life and during your workouts, go to vmisports.com, use code CLS, and thank me later. I only partner with the best, you dig?
And so I use those strategies to, alcohol as well, to just numb and move away. And the more we rely on these external cruxes to pull us away from our healing, the more that trauma eats at us.
Yeah, this is so good. And to be honest with you, I can relate to a lot of this too, right? And something that stuck out to me as you were speaking, brother, is like I was probably drinking more than I'd like to admit a few years back when I was in a dark place. I felt like I didn't have anything to look forward to every day. I felt stuck. But once you can kind of accept, and just to be clear for the audience, like acceptance doesn't mean approval. But once you accept where you're at and why you're catering to certain things, then you have the ability to go in and change it and really ask yourself, is this really a healthy choice for me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Like acceptance is not resignation. It's not approving of our situation. It's not resigning to, oh, well, this is the way it is. It is a starting point and a launch pad to actually make change and acknowledge that where you're at isn't where you want to be. And that's okay. Use the acceptance to lean in and not cause so much friction through resisting the thing that you know you need to fucking do because it's the healthier path for you. But it's difficult because it's a road and a path unknown. It hasn't been traversed before. But that's the mystery of engaging in life, right? And for me, I was so scared to do that until I wasn't. And I said, fuck it. Where I am now, the pain of where I am now is way bigger than the potential pain of the mystery or the unknown and uncertainty. I have to walk the uncertain path. I just have to. I can't live like this anymore. And we all, I believe, where we are as a collective consciousness, we all, at this point in time in human history, not all, but the vast majority of us have to hit rock bottom before we can elicit any level of meaningful change.
Yes, brother. And there's a lot of alignment here. Not exactly the same, but similar concepts, right? And it's interesting that you say that based on my experience and the people that my community that I coach is always true. You have to go through some stuff, some shit, for lack of better words, to really want to make big, powerful changes. Why is that? Why can't we just make big, powerful changes from a place of not rock bottom, I guess? But then again, if we weren't feeling emotional pain, we wouldn't have this emotion that we really needed something to change, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's a number of reasons. Well, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
We learn through contrast. Our ego is entrenched in the familiar. We're scared of the unknown. We're not equipped with the support, safety, and tools and people to be able to venture into the unknown. We lack sincere and meaningful rites of passage that cultivate and develop confidence and courage in our own being, particularly as men, in modernity. We live in a very fast-paced society that collectively values other things other than our own personal growth and evolution, such as money. And I'm not saying money's bad. Money's not bad. Money's great. Love money. Love creating wealth. I'm a big fan. I want to retire in the next few years. And when I say retire, I'm very specific with what that means to me. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop, quote unquote, working. This is even work for me. I'm not going to stop creating. But I want to be able to, I know what it means to me, is my point. And so there are some of the reasons why we need to hit rock bottom, because we need the shock. And it's the shock that pulls us out and blows us out of our current circumstances and gives us this bird's eye vantage point, this perspective of, oh shit, that's me. I'm doing that. You can't see the forest through the trees. And so we need the shock to get out of the forest, so to speak. We need a helicopter to come and airlift us so we've got a 30,000 foot view and go, oh, that's a forest. It's not just a bunch of trees. I see it now. And what does that for us is often the hit rock bottom, is the shock factor. That's the contrast. And because we also live in an extreme society where we operate in extremes, we need to learn in extremes. Now, I'm not saying that's right and that's the best path, the most effective and efficient path. It is and it isn't. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's a sign of maturity and growth if we stay there. And I don't think we are staying there. I think we're moving out of that. I just believe in what I witness and see, that's where we are at the moment.
This is unbelievable stuff. And also, like, for anyone that's not watching, only listening, I can tell you this isn't work. Is that his soul is lit right now. Like, my people, what are you on? And I'm like, you don't get it. I spent 30.
Not even coffee.
Yeah, I went.
I don't drink coffee. I never have.
Really?
Yeah, never. No, I don't like the taste. I like the smell.
I believe it, because your soul is, and that's what mine is now. And it took me 35 years to find this. But also, as you were talking about, I couldn't help but notice, or I couldn't help but think that pain is the portal, right? We have to go through that birth canal to really spread our wings.
I love it. I love what you just said. Pain is the portal, man. That's just, I think, where we're at. The majority of us is where we're at right now. Pain is the portal. It is a portal for transmutation and transformation. And it can be a beautiful thing. Like, this is another issue that I think we have, and I have, and I still am like this. This is why I purposely every day put myself in difficult, challenging situations with my training. Like today, I had my friend and trainer come over, and I do a bunch of fight training, and I have been for many, many years, on and off, more on than off, but many years. And I got hurt today. We sparred for 3 or 4 rounds, and I got hurt. Like, that's an uncomfortable situation. I cold plunge every day. I train my body I deliberately take myself to uncomfortable places so that when discomfort comes to me, and it always will, because that's life. That's the duality we live in. I can deal with it with greater efficacy. Do I always? No, I don't. But I know that the deliberate conditioning that I engage in, whether it's through the physical or other means, like having difficult conversations with my wife, saying sorry when I don't really want it, when my ego doesn't want to say sorry, making choices like, no, I've got to say no to this, even though it's a really cool thing, because I have to focus here. Like, deliberately making not my life difficult, but including challenge in my life is healthy. And so if we don't do that, because we live in a very complacent, relaxed, convenient society, if we don't do that for ourselves, we become very overwhelmed with the difficulty. So pain doesn't become a portal, and pain doesn't become a portal because we avoid the pain. We don't go into it. We don't allow ourselves to meet the undesirable. We don't say to ourselves, you know what? If someone gave me $100 million tax-free in a briefcase, big briefcase, I would take that and be super happy. But if my partner comes to me and says, hey, I want a divorce, I'm done, we would meet that with angst and stress and what the fuck's going on and confusion. But my thing is, this is my personal practice. What? And I'm not, bro, let me tell you, I'm not fucking good at this, right? I'm getting better. I'm becoming proficient. But my practice is, can I meet the undesirable just like I meet the desirable? Just like when I pick up my daughter and she puts her little head here in my chest and oxytocin goes through my body. Can I meet an injury? Because I'm very connected to my body. I have an injury. Oh man, I can't train for 3 weeks. Can I meet that with calm? Equanimity again, calm. I'm not saying I have to be happy about it, but can I not be stressed about it and not avoid it, or at least allow the expression of whatever needs to come through, and then be done with it, move on. Okay, let me just meet and greet the undesirable the way that I meet the desirable, so that it can move through me, so it doesn't control me. Because a lot of us in the world, our pain, our unconscious pain controls who the fuck we are. That sucks.
This is unbelievable stuff, right? Because, spoiler alert for the audience listening, like, challenges, adversity, pain is inevitable. So you might as well get good at it, right? And it doesn't mean you're going to be perfect, but like, also, like, you mentioned, like, stuff with your wife, like, tough conversations are a part of life. So instead of avoiding them, you might as well get good at them, right?
I think so. I agree with what you just shared. Yes. I think let's become proficient, and let's not avoid them, so that we can grow from them, so that we don't keep repeating them over and over and over again.
Yeah, so good, brother. And look, there's so many places we can take this conversation. I want to obviously land the plane with all the exciting stuff you have going on, but I was checking out some of your content, which I suggest all the listeners do immediately after this conversation, because it's awesome. He's got awesome nuggets and he's very charismatic. And we have a lot of ladies in the audience and so forth. And something I saw you talking about was, and I think this is cool to touch upon, is How can you call in the man that you desire and deserve?
Yeah, you want me to answer that question?
Yes, please, brother.
I can tell you, man. I can share with you what some foundational principles and what works. And so my wife and I have a program. It's a really interesting question that you asked. How do you call in a man that you desire and deserve? We have a program called Be the Queen. We're actually launching it now. It officially starts on the 28th of February, which is my birthday. And we
Wait, when is your birthday?
28th of February.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you, brother. So we officially launch our live program. We've been doing this for 4 years, by the way, but we officially launch our 2023 live version called Be the Queen, February 28th. And what this is about is teaching women, especially through Christine's story and the what she developed over the years, being single for over a decade after being divorced, being married and divorced, what she did to basically call in the relationship that we have. And part of that is doing deep inner healing work. Celebrating our past, getting to the point where we can celebrate our past by healing our past, forgiving our past, but we have to feel in order to truly forgive. And so we one of the principles are we have to clear the clutter of the past. Then we learn about ourselves, we learn our values. Like if you want to call in someone that you deeply desire and you deeply deserve, you need to know that you're worthy. You've got to clear up and clean up that low self-worth, that lack of confidence that you may have, that someone told you once that you weren't enough, or that you were too much, or that you were ugly, or that you this body shape, or that you're not smart enough, or whatever. And you believe that. You've taken on that story. Like, how do we help you heal and support you through that process? And that happens in safe spaces. And then we can go into dating dynamics and getting really clear on your agreements and what you want, and learning to ask for what you want, and being in your voice and being in your power. And then you can move into, what does my world look like moving forward?
Nutrition Solutions offers the best healthy meal prep options for health, wellness, weight loss, and improved performance. The customer service and support at Nutrition Solutions is unbelievable and second to none. And when I travel for my marathons, the meals are waiting at my hotel. I don't even have to break a sweat. Even their protein donuts and breakfast items are made with fresh, organic ingredients. I love Nutrition Solutions' reliability, quality, and all-around lifestyle that they represent, which is world-class. To get both physically and mentally fit, go to nutritionsolutions.com and use promo code CLS25. Thank me later, you dig?
What is the world that I really want to create for myself? Because you create from a place of clarity, you create from a place of spaciousness. Again, desire and deserving. I did a post. I'll just read it to you verbatim, right? I did a post the other day.
Do, brother.
I'll just read you this post, right? And so the post is this: desires that arise from agitation are more aligned with your ego. Desires that arise from stillness are more aligned with your soul. So in order to be still, we have to clear the clutter of our past, right? We have to become deeper in love with ourselves. We have to create space in our lives for that healing, for that wholeness. We have to go to the places that are uncomfortable, right? And then the desires that we have, they come less from ego and what we think people want from us, and more from a true yearning within. And desires are very healthy. And then we're talking about deservability. I've mentioned that. I've spoken to that. Self-worth, self-confidence. And so there are some of the principles that we would go deeper into.
Yeah, this is so good. And one thing that came to mind when you're talking is you got to feel it to heal it. Right? Yeah. And then also, I know you're very vocal on a part of your journey, and I imagine maybe you perfected or you're still working on it. I imagine most of us are, is that you were able to drop the negative self-perception of what others thought of you. That was kind of holding you back for a while. Is that right?
Yeah, big time. And it's something I'm still working on. I'm as transparent as I can be, where I can meet myself at the level of maturity that I can hold, so I'm always going to do my best to be transparent. Yeah. It is something I still work with. Like it is. So, I put myself out there, I put my truth out there, and sometimes that truth is criticized. And sometimes if I'm having an off day or I'm overwhelmed or I'm just whatever, that pisses me off. And I take it personally and I get offended. And then I settle and I sit and I step back and I pause and I think to myself, well, that person has a perspective, and maybe there's something in that for me. Maybe their perspective, there's some level of accuracy there. Let me just actually sit with that for a moment. Let me diffuse from my charge of not feeling enough or feeling insecure, or, my nervous system going back to when I was 5 years old and my father was criticizing me, because that's what's happening now, is that my nervous system's amplifying the current situation. It's reminding me of that. Let me just step back. And then let me ask myself, can I be different with this? Can I actually interact with this person, this scenario in a different way? Like, how's it serving me to be agitated? Right? And so when we're talking about that, it is a work in progress for me, and I think for many of us. And being in our power and not allowing others to take our power away is not an easy thing to do. It really isn't, man, because so many of us have experienced as innocent young children that are somewhat helpless, right? Not in a derogatory way, but just they're navigating the world, and their power's been taken from them because of so many different reasons, parents or primary caregivers or adults just being insecure in themselves, being violent in their own selves. Hurt people. Mm. And they're not excuses. They're just reasons to help us understand the complexity of human interaction, and to maybe tap into some compassion, empathy, and non-judgment, which helps liberate us and free us, actually. But when we're reminded of that, it is very useful for us to remind ourselves that was then and this is now. And now is a different scenario. Now, if that person is being antagonistic, you still have a voice to say no, but to take it personally and be physiologically and psychologically affected by that, well, we live with that. I live with that. That's going to be on me. I've got to live with that shit. So I can choose to move through it, allow myself to feel what needs to be felt, not bypass, and then move through it and make a different choice. That's how I generally approach it.
I love that you allow yourself to feel it, right? Because it's very easy to say, don't give a shit about what other people think. But the truth of the matter is we're actually wired to care about what people think. So you want to be selective, care what the right people think, right? And then also, I love how you just broke that down. Like, let me see, is there another perspective here, right? And maybe try to understand, but also compassion, empathy, and stuff of that nature. It's liberating for both parties.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, this is so great, brother. One other thing I saw that you talk about, which I thought was pretty cool, is really discussing how a man can develop unshakable confidence. And just to be clear for the audience, because I know there's a lot of people that are working on it. At least for me, confidence is a skill that can be developed. You don't have to be born with it. What are some tangible tools that you utilize or that you teach for a man to develop unshakable confidence, brother?
Yeah. Challenge yourself regularly, whatever that challenge looks like for you. So just play the game of opposites. Go to the places where you know you should go that you don't. So if that's exercising and training your body and developing greater strength because you're too preoccupied with work or something else or whatever excuse you have, then go do that. Men grow through challenge. We cultivate deeper levels of confidence, self-awareness, deeper social acuity, connection to ourselves, to our truth, to our passion, to our purpose, through actively, deliberately, proactively challenging ourselves. So when we do that, we give ourselves permission to go to the next level, whatever that looks like. And so whatever challenges you need to face in your life, whether it's getting in cold water every day or 3 times a week, whether it's applying for that job that you know you want to apply for, starting your own business, or even just doing that hobby, working with your hands and doing technical things that are challenging and difficult, learning new skills. This cultivates confidence because every time you have a success or a small win, even if it's a micro win, you're reinforcing a strengthened sense of self. Your identity is becoming reinforced, and you're saying, "Oh, I'm capable of doing new things that are difficult." Maybe it's learning to fly an airplane or getting your helicopter's license. I don't know what it is, or maybe it's saving up for something that's really important to you, like a sports car or something that you want to take around the track and race. It doesn't fucking matter. Maybe you want to compete in some event. Maybe it's an adventure race or something. Challenge yourself. You will develop deep confidence from that place.
This is so good. This is straight up gold. Only negative I got going on is we don't have 10 hours to chat, but I feel like it's just the beginning of the friendship. But you just nailed it, right? Because for me, I was speaking to a mentor of mine like a couple of weeks back, and we were talking about I feel like I had 2 lives, like after the pandemic, since I reinvented myself, and before. And he was making me think, he was like breaking down like what happened in between those 2 seasons. And the answer was I started running marathons. And I had never been a runner. I lifted weights, not professional or anything like that, but I did that to prove to myself that I can do hard things and develop confidence. And then also just 2 weeks ago, because my fitness routine, which is very important to me, has become a little maybe dull is the word. I either run or I go upstairs and lift weights, and I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So I just started boxing 3 weeks ago, and I gotta tell you, brother, I forgot how much fun it is to be a beginner again, right? To be challenging, it's stimulating, to get better, it's humbling, it's exciting, and you begin to develop confidence. So for anybody listening right now, male, female, you want to start to get out of a rut or just cultivate more confidence, do some hard shit and give yourself permission to be less than perfect.
That man, that really fucking matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so good, brother. Straight up. I have to ask you, obviously, about relationships. You're obviously doing something right now. Of course, no relationship is easy. It takes work just like anything else. It's no secret that like the divorce rate is where it is these days. What are some key characteristics or traits for you guys that have made your relationship successful? Like what's very important for you guys for the fundamentals inside your relationship?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. So some of the, I guess, success principles that we apply to our relationship is consistent communication, especially when we're distant with each other. And so ideally we want to be proactive and create circumstances and spaces where, especially with she's not a newborn now, she's an infant, she's 11 months old, but especially with a new baby in our lives, creating spaces where we have time together to talk about the things that matter most to us, but to also just be in each other's physical presence and be in intimacy and actually create those spaces and nurture each other. A practice that we have is really getting into curiosity and compassion. And so at the moment, we're facing just some challenges of just being first-time parents, and being very proactive entrepreneurs.
Congrats, by the way, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's the most humbling, beautiful experience. It's a paradox, man. It's the best. It's the best. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And it's very challenging. And, we're navigating those challenges because we had very different lives before our baby. We're very entrepreneurial. We're doing amazing things in the world. Like we really love what we do. We're inspired by what we do. And that's had to, because we've chosen to take a little bit of a backseat because we want to prioritize our daughter and our family. And, me personally, that's been challenging for me because I'm being pulled in these different directions. And so communicating that with Christine so she knows where I'm at and she doesn't just think that I'm in a bad mood or I'm distant or she's done something wrong, like being very proactive in our communication, and giving ourselves space to also process emotionally, has been very useful for us too. And fun and play, man, like do our best to have fun and play wherever we can. Because sometimes it gets too serious, especially both Christine and I, just our personalities. Even though I think I'm super fun and I'm a super funny person and all that, I still take shit too seriously, and I can get very melancholy, and it's fun and play is a big piece.
Yeah, and also in the entrepreneurial space, right? Let's call it what it is. Like it's never a straight line. Sometimes it's like this, so you got to keep it fun. And I love everything that you just said. And it's work for everybody, right? You have to have your non-negotiables or things that are important to you guys. It's funny because I was recently, I think your friends, and Tom Bilyeu was on the show a while ago, and we're talking about this. And it's like sometimes when you get mad at your partner about something, it's really because they triggered some sort of insecurity in you, right? And that's emotional intelligence. And if you can kind of understand that, you can stop from reacting and maybe do a bit better of a job of responding. I know this has helped me a great deal.
Big time, man. Big time. Everything you just said then is, for me, very aligned, very relevant, and very applicable to our own life as well.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And also one thing for me, because I've been in relationships that didn't work out, I was kind of repeating a similar pattern. And when I found my fiance now, which I'm extremely blessed, my soulmate, one thing that's been really big for us is respect, right? You don't always have to agree with everything the person says, but there's got to be a level of respect and understanding as to why they said something.
Yeah. And that's where the curiosity and compassion piece comes up for me as well. Like, can you be curious enough to respect your partner's perspective, even if you disagree with it? Now, if your partner's being disingenuous or being antagonistic and purposely hurting you, you got to be a stand for that, or you're not a punching bag, right? But can you still get curious about what's underneath that? Because that's not really who they are. They're protecting something. But it's really difficult to do that in the moment, man. Like, it's really, really difficult to when someone's yelling at you or attacking you, or you feel that, to just pause and go, oh, I wonder what's really underneath that. How can I support you? Because, you're appearing to be really protective right now and really angry at me. And it's very difficult to do this. It's a very elevated sense of self. But you know what? Doesn't mean we can't aim for that. Doesn't mean we can't practice that. Doesn't mean we can't hope for that in an intelligent way. Doesn't mean we can't, shoot for the stars. I think we can. I think we should. We're fucking, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. Fuck knows why. But I mean, I love the innovation. I love Elon Musk. I mean, I love what he stands for, but I love Earth, man. I don't want to go to Mars. It's fucking dry. You seen Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger? The place looks shit.
Love Arnold.
I love Arnold. But, we've got to aim big, man, and we're not always going to get there, and that's okay. We can't be consistently disappointed with ourselves to the point where we avoid it. That's not going to be helpful.
Playing small is canceled, right? And also, like, it's
cancer.
Yeah, brother. And it's not so much the goal or the destination as it is to who we become on the journey. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, once we hit that mountaintop, let's call it what it is, we're always thinking about the next mountaintop. So we have to kind of fall in love with the journey and grow on the way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, hell yeah. How can we avoid codependency in a relationship?
Got to heal our past wounds, man. Like, we've got to confidence, because ultimately codependency, it's not just about not being confident, but that plays a big role. Codependency is this belief that what that person has and how that person treats us and what they think about us matters so much that we can't live without that. We're so insecure that we can't live without that. That everything we do we have to ensure that they're okay. And when we become like our self-worth, our ability to thrive becomes tied up in what that person does, thinks of us, what they do in the world, how they see us, how they respond to us. We make the smallest things mean the biggest things. And so we have to learn to be our own sovereign being. And one of the ways that we do that, again, is healing that past. And so an example of codependency is maybe you had enmeshment as with your mother growing up as a child, which meant that your mother emotionally, unconsciously projected all of her needs on you, and you became intertwined in this codependent, unhealthy way. And you may carry that on as an adult because it's a familiar pattern to you. So you look for that in other partnerships where you're entrenched in each other's lives in unhealthy ways, where you're dependent on each other and you can't survive. Literally, you feel like your whole world is breaking down. You become an emotional wreck if you are not connected to that person. So we have to develop our own independence and sovereignty. Living by ourselves is an example of that. Healing that past relationship from that core wound, working with a therapist, a coach, being in a small group, a men's group, whatever it may be, a sister circle, like really, really working with that. Healing our trust issues, because ultimately at the core of codependence also is mistrust. We don't trust ourselves. We actually don't really trust the other person. That's why we keep perpetuating codependence, right? Part of that is people pleasing. People pleasing is actually it appears very selfless, but it's very selfish. Because again, it's our needs. So we've got to detach from our ego. And again, all of that is shadow work. All of that is inner child work, somatic work. It's being consistent and persistent with that work.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. And we'll land the plane with this. And you mentioned shadow work. I know you're big on that. And yeah. I heard you mention we have to own and acknowledge our dark side or shadow self, or it hijacks us. What do you mean by that, brother?
Yeah. Well, similar to what I said earlier around, what are we being controlled by? And so if we don't accept the parts of us, so I have a part of me that is very aggressive and abrasive and sarcastic and rude and violent. And if I avoid that part and I don't acknowledge it, it's so strong that it will leak out. I'll try and control it, but it will leak out in my frustrations. It will accumulate and grow and then explode.
What was that? That's right. I can hear your thoughts. Have no fear. I'm going to tell you exactly where you can get weekly access to the CLS Experience live in action, dropping gems, nuggets, trainings, special celebrity and business mogul guest speakers, and maximum energy. We just launched the CLS membership. We have weekly Zooms with like-minded, growth-oriented juggernauts, networking and absorbing all the wisdom via weekly Zooms. Head to cultivatelastingsymphony.com and then bang, enter your new network today. Let's grow together. You dig?
But if I acknowledge it and embrace it and say, hey, I don't hate this part of me. It served me once. It helped keep me really safe. But I don't need it ongoing every moment of my life, the moment someone disagrees with me, or the moment I have an argument with someone that I care about, or the moment I see an injustice. I don't have to always be aggressive. Sometimes I might need to be in certain situations, but I don't always have to be aggressive. So what does this part of me need? Can I apply love and compassion to this part of me? Can I increase my range in the way that I communicate and express myself, and the tools that I use to deal with certain situations? It doesn't have to be this homogenous aggression. So embracing the thing that is unseen to us or that we're avoiding helps us feel more whole, and in turn move through in the world in very similar ways, and in our relationships as well, become more approachable and more safe.
Hell yeah, you're such a stud. And also that trait of you that you just said served you in other areas. If you're aware that it's there, you can most likely, correct me if I'm wrong, channel it to do some good. Like, for example, right. I'm a bit obsessive or have an addictive personality, but now that I know that, I channel it for good stuff, right? As opposed to maybe bad choices.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful as well with that, because, but you're right. Fundamentally, what you're saying is the awareness creates an opportunity to direct that energy in more meaningful ways. And then the other layer of awareness is knowing, okay, I've directed it in a more productive, healthy way, but am I too much in this now? And if I am, let me pull back. And that's another level of awareness, because, I channeled a lot of that in, my exercise, my fitness, my performance. And on the surface, it's like, oh, this guy's a fit guy. But the reality was, what was underneath that was I wanted validation. And I also wanted to put myself through so much pain that I would forget the pain that I was avoiding. And so it can be a double-edged sword. You've got to be careful. And again, it's a process that unravels with time. Knowing oneself, it requires work. I've spent, can I say hundreds of thousands of hours? Fucking probably hundreds of thousands of hours evaluating my own self, like really deeply evaluating my own self. Maybe that's excessive, but thousands upon thousands of hours, like really intense. Man, I gave up businesses. I stopped working. I went into massive debt. Like all I did was work on myself for years. Like that's what I did every day for hours every day. Hours. I'm talking like sometimes 15, 20 hours a day. I wouldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So, it's a process, man. It takes time to know yourself in those ways.
Yeah, maybe not as much as you, but that's what I was. People think like what I've done over the last 2 years in overnight success, but what they don't realize is I've been working on myself like a lunatic for 15 years.
That's right. That's
I want to ask you, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you, brother?
I'm 40.
40 years young, just getting warmed up.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
And look, you have so much life experience from going through the pain is the portal from all that stuff, and you've been able to package it, right? And now you can be able to quantum leap and just collapse time. Awesome. Just want to acknowledge you.
Thanks, man. And I appreciate you say that, because the time piece actually for me is interesting, because it's actually been a real pain point for me. I mentioned earlier around being torn and being this paradox of loving my daughter and my family, but also wanting to be in my gifts, but also wanting to spend time with my daughter. I don't want other people looking after her. I want to be with her, And so I've been really wrestling with this thing of time, this concept of time, this illusion of time, this relationship to time. And you just, you said two things there, quantum leap and crunch time. And so it's very intuitive of you that you said that, because it's very much in my field lately. And I want a better, a different relationship with time, because at the moment I don't have a great relationship with it. And I'm being resistant. Like I'm resisting all the things, and I'm not as productive, as efficient, as great as I could be, because I'm in resistance. And so I just wanted to share, I'm just shifting some stuff around my relationship to time.
Yeah, thank you so much for that vulnerability, brother, and feeling safe. My best suggestion, something that I've really worked on, and it's helped, and of course I still have work to do, is just to be as mindful as I possibly can. I imagine you already work on that.
Yeah, but it's a good reminder as well, man. Is I just again slow down, because for me to be mindful, I have to slow down. So I've just it's slow down and go faster.
Slow down to speed up.
To speed up, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome, brother. So many nuggets here. I'm excited to build a friendship. You have a ton of great, exciting stuff going on. What are you personally most excited about right now, Steph?
Oh shit.
Where do I begin, right?
So many things. So many things. Well, Be the Queen, we're launching that. There's just so many beautiful women in that container. So I'm very excited for that.
Who is that for?
That is for single women. That is for women that, and also women in relationship that are wanting to heal their relationship with their family, with their parents, with their past, with past partners, like to really, break that, like cut that cord of past partners. Stop choosing the same men, but with a different face and a different haircut. Like really engage in, healthier dating dynamics. That's for that woman of all ages, by the way. But that woman that is ready to do that deeper work on herself and have epic love in her life. And then, I've got breathwork for the feminine, which is every month here in Austin live, but it's also live stream and recorded. The next one is March 18th, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it's a really, really powerful, it's a really, really powerful 3-hour immersive. And we go deep into breathwork and somatic work, and every month has a different theme. I'm just excited about everything I'm creating, man. I've got another business that is in technology as well, but really specifically for enhancing the mind and the heart of the entrepreneur, which I believe and we believe can add so much value to humanity, right? And it's all in the wellness space. It's all in the space that I occupy, personal transformation. So I'm really excited about that. Just everything I'm doing, I'm excited about, brother. The one-on-one clients that I am privileged to work with. I love working with my clients. My coaching institute, Elementum Coaching Institute, which again, it's all in the same field, right? It's all in the same area. I'm just excited about life and my family, of course.
You're awesome, brother. And you are lit up, and it's so obvious. And maybe this is the same answer, maybe not. What's the best way for the whole community and audience, about 4 million now, to support you?
Man, that's a great question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question on an interview before. That's fantastic. Look, if any of what I've shared resonates, share the message with others, of course. Consume my content, our content. It's all, in the collective, we're all connected. Join a program. I have men's programs as well. My website, stefanosifandos.com, says all of that. My Instagram, @Stefanos Sifandos. If you're interested, join. I mean, the breathwork for the feminine is super accessible. It's super low entry. I do that on purpose, but it's very powerful because it's all about connecting women around the world, right? And a couple of times a year, we bring men in as well, which is really cool. So we do this big co-ed experience. It's very powerful, masculine and feminine polarity dynamic. So, yeah.
So good, brother. And we're going to put all this stuff in the show notes. Hang up on one sec, Steph. I want to connect with you after. I want you to know you're the definition of perspective, authenticity, and wisdom, from taking your life experiences to spreading positivity, light, and deep truths. I could personally guarantee your best yet to come. Keep on spreading your wings and leaving your mark on this world. So much love and respect for you. Thank you so much for stopping by and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets today, brother.
Thank you, Craig. Appreciate you, man.
That was too fun, brother. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's stay connected.
I'd love that, man, for sure. Tell me again where you are in New York.
I'm in Manhattan, in the Big Apple, right?
Man,
that's the East River behind me, Midtown.
So good. And you've been there all your life?
I grew up on Long Island. After college, I went to Wall Street. I've been in the city ever since. And then obviously the last 2 years since I reinvented myself, technically I could do this from anywhere now. So we'll see what the future holds. But yeah, I've been here for the most part.
Do you want to move somewhere else?
I'm open to it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Or at least have a place somewhere else, and maybe be a little bi-coast or something. Because for me, I had my own business on Wall Street, so I always had to be there every day. Now, as an entrepreneur, we could do this from anywhere. So I'm definitely available. And also, I think changing locations is just healthy sometimes, creatively and so forth. Do you ever come out here?
Not enough. I want to come out and do a family trip in the autumn, because I know how beautiful it is in autumn,
Yeah, for sure.
Before. Yeah.
Are you active on Instagram? Is it you, or you have your own team?
No, I'm active. I'm very active on it. It's all me. Yeah.
Let's support each other over there for sure.
That'll be great, man. Yeah, you reach out, anything you need, they'll be fantastic. Stay in touch.
And likewise, is there anything else I could do to support?
No, not at the moment, man. Just let me know when you release this because we'll promote your podcast through my network as well. And yeah, just was a pleasure connecting, man. I dig your vibe and I dig your energy, and I appreciate all the shit that you've done in your life to get you where you are today, and not, succumbing to the drugs, the alcohol, the Wall Street,
Yeah, thank you. But do you have your phone on you?
I do.
Shoot me a quick message and I'll follow you back.
Yeah, 100%. Give me a second.
Sure.
I'm gonna. I'm just gonna save your number. Tell me your number.
Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow me on Instagram at CraigSiegel_CLS, the YouTube channel Craig Siegel, and our website, cultivatelastingsymphony.com, where you could sign up for our email blast with all free trainings on all of our content. The best is yet to come.